Hi everyone, thanks you for joining our webinar today. My name is Lenny Descamps. I promote best management practices for APMG International. I'm thrilled to lead this Agile Project Management webinar with Jeff Ball and Louise Lorenius from QRP International. So most of you are probably project manager, work or plan to work in a project environment. You came today from Spain, Italy, Poland, the United Kingdom, Denmark, Sweden, and many other countries. So many thanks for that. As the pace of change is faster than ever with important competition, organization needs to deliver benefits from project as early as possible. You will discover AgilePM, a robust methodology with firm foundation and a strong focus on collaboration. It aims to bring the result that today's organizations are expecting. Louise will present to you the training program with the different certification. This session will be recorded and everyone who was registered will receive a follow-up communication to download the recording as well as the slide. So feel free to view it again or share it with your network and colleagues. So we are running a question answer session at the end of this webinar. Many thanks to raise your questions at any times so during the webinar. So before handing over to Louise, just a few words about APMG. So APMG is an examination institute based in the UK and with subsidiaries in 12 countries. So we work with the best experts and owner of intellectual property in their domain to deliver a global accredited training organization network, providing professional training and certification. So our portfolio includes the following certification. In project management, Prince2, which is now a global norm for project management. So Prince2 compared to AgilePM is a traditional methodology, and Jack will speak about the difference between Prince2 and AgilePM, different approaches. We promote also MSP for program management, P3O for project support with PMO structures, change management, stakeholders engagement, etc. We have also some IT-focused products like ITIL, COVID-5, Lean IT, and many more. So we bring this webinar to you in conjunction with QRP International today. They are present in a number of European countries. We have accredited all their course materials and their trainers. I will now hand over to Louise from the QRP team.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I would also like to take this occasion to present myself and welcome you to this Agile webinar. My name is Louise Lorenius and I'm the Scandinavian Regional Manager at QRP International. The goal of this webinar is to provide information to you, and this exact webinar is to give you a better understanding of how your organization can benefit from using Agile project management. So if you have any questions that remain unanswered after the webinar, please feel free to contact me or any of the QRP staff after the webinar. With us today, we also have our lead trainer, Jeff Ball, and he will be presenting the method to you. So I will now pass the word to him, and Jeff, you can present yourself and then start explaining the Agile method.
So good afternoon to everybody. My name is Jeff Ball. I'm going to speak to you briefly about Agile this afternoon. I'm a QRP trainer. I train, amongst other things, on Prince2 and on AgilePM, and I'll compare those a little bit this afternoon. I'm an IT professional. I have been working for several decades in IT. I started as a programmer developer. I have worked on projects, programs, and more recently on offices, PMOs, and methods. Agile, as I'm going to tell you as we go through the slides, the name Agile came around in 2002. Back in the 90s, when I was working for Reckitt and Coleman, I started using some of the elements of Agile before the word was invented. I started using time boxes and Moscow prioritization for a large global project. Reckitt and Coleman were globalizing. We globalized the research and development document management systems. I've worked in big companies. I live in Angers because I used to work for NEC Computers. They've closed. I'm now freelance, and I spend my time mostly training for QRP.
So in order to know better the delegates, we are running a quick poll. So if you can click on what project do you work on currently, it will help us to know you better. Just a few seconds more. Almost everybody has a reply already. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so we are going to show the result.
Right, so we see a large focus on IT. I'm an IT person, and a lot of the people today are IT people. We will make it clear that AgilePM, the DSDM approach, takes you beyond the world of IT. It's a good solution for software development projects. It can, however, go way beyond software development into more general IT, into pure business projects, into projects outside of the business world, into your associations, your clubs, your personal projects. So not just IT, but clearly that's the big area of interest today. So welcome to you, and welcome to people from the other areas. Let's briefly look at the basics. Some of you know this already, but we'll briefly go through where this particular flavor of Agile comes from. We're talking today about DSDM and AgilePM. Now, these are both essentially synonyms for a similar. It's one single body of best practice. It's a subset of Agile. DSDM is a consortium, a non-profit organization set up in the 90s. In reaction to the waterfall methods were not working. DSDM came around with a new method. This has now been, the current version is branded Atern. Atern is just the latest version of the method, and one of the things that we'll introduce this afternoon is that it's not contradictory to Prince2. One of the things DSDM have done is to talk about compatibility with Prince2. This is one of the families of enterprise approaches for Agile. Many of you will know about or perhaps be using Scrum. Sometimes in the training rooms you get Scrum Masters, Scrum people working on Scrum. These are lightweight methods. These are more team approaches. Scrum is growing week by week in its ambitions, but Scrum is still a very light, simple method, and great for running small initiatives, typically with a flavor on software development or on software maintenance. Lean coming more out of manufacturing, extreme programming coming out of IT, software development. These tend to be lighter approaches. DSDM, as we'll see this afternoon, is more of an enterprise industrial strength Agile, capable of dealing with your bigger projects. Working in an enterprise environment, you're talking about budgets, about architecture, about business case, all of these things that your companies are asking for, and these are integrated into DSDM, while DSDM remains resolutely, firmly 100% Agile. We can now just remind you what is Agile. Agile's really partly a mindset. It's a different style of working. We're moving away from command and control, where it's hierarchical, where you are doing what your boss wants, or you're doing what a big specification says that's been written down and signed off by the customer. It's more about flexibility, ongoing cooperation. You don't write down a big specification and sign it off. You keep working throughout the project with the customer. Trying to make sure through an incremental, through a convergence to a solution that you meet customer needs. And all of this tracing back to what's called the Agile Manifesto back from 2002. I have to be a little bit careful about this 2002 manifesto. It's 11 years old now. It's very software influenced. We've now understood in the last 10 years that we can use Agile for more than software. Be careful when you read the websites. 9 websites out of 10 that talk about Agile are talking about software development still. And this is where the manifesto was 10 years ago. It's not wrong, but you've got to understand that it's very much software. But on the left-hand side, the things that people, Agile people prefer. On the right-hand side, the things that you've got to push back against. You don't reject, but you don't want to overemphasize them. So we want people and interactions rather than complex bureaucratic processes and tool-driven systems or methods of running projects. We want working, well, we'd say today working solutions, and then they said working software, rather than a 100-page specification. Try to iterate your way through different versions, try to converge slowly but surely towards a working solution. We want to collaborate rather than negotiate a document, and we've moved on a bit fast there. The last one was responding to change. We want to be reactive. Change is normal. If you have a 100-page spec, each change is a problem. If you are slowly converging towards a solution, that's good. On the right-hand side, following a plan, we're coming back to understanding, certainly in DSDM, in AgilePM, that plans are necessary. The world of Agile, it tends to still to reject plans, and you'll see this afternoon, yes, you need not a strict plan, which is micromanagement, but you do need some sort of plan. So some of that we've come back to. Let's move on now to the basics. DSDM is a method. The M is for method. Let's have a look at what we find in there. First of all, is a reaction against the waterfall. DSDM and Agile and Scrum are reacting against the waterfall. The waterfall is the left-hand side. The fixed features is your 200, 500 some page document, a long document that somebody signs off. The person who signs off frequently hasn't really understood what he's signing off on, but he's got to sign because he's told to sign by the end of the month. Those features are fixed when you try to deliver to specification. Big design up front, trying to deliver it. And the traditional problem with that is we have cost overruns and time overruns. That's the blue at the bottom. Traditionally, we're trying to deliver all the features, and it's a struggle to deliver on time, on cost. What Atern does is, particularly using time boxes, it says we will deliver on time. We can and we will deliver on time. Time is something that is critical in projects. We can deliver on time. By delivering on time, by controlling our work in time boxes, we can certainly control the effort, we can control the work done. We probably have a strong control on some of the major costs, if those costs are mostly labor time, effort. And to do this, we will sacrifice features. We will identify the key core features using a tool called Moscow. We will commit to delivering those. And if we are going to fall behind on time or on cost, we will let slip some of the nice-to-have features. So we will change the mentality. This is the introduction to Moscow. Moscow is saying that you breaking your work up into priorities. Both at the project level, you have a project must go, which could be 10, 20 key requirements, which you say some of them are guaranteed, some of them make the minimum usable subset. This is what the customer must have. And then we talk about the should have, the things that we'd very much like to deliver. The could have, that's the nice to have things that we'll try to deliver if we have time. And then we may delimit, we may say certain things are out of scope, won't have this time. That must-go technique is taken down to the time box. The team is going to run each time box. The project is more at the project level. The time box is run by the team, and the team will have must-go prioritization for each time box. Again, must have for the time box. And as we go into each time box, should have and could have and won't have this time box, might have in the next time box. So here's a picture come up saying that time boxes provide control, particularly time boxes provide control on time. Time is on the side of nobody. Time is actually more precious to many organizations than budget. Budget is important. Time slips away for project managers. Time is always the tough challenge. And time boxes are a wonderful technique to provide control of time. You commit to deliver a certain batch of functionality, and the team, a self-organizing team, buys in to that deal and says, yes, we can deliver. We need 3 weeks. We commit to delivering key functionality, the must-have functionality, in 3 weeks. So this page here shows the project in red, split up into 3 increments. We will deliver into production those increments, and we can commit to our delivery dates on those increments because we break them up into time boxes, and we can commit to the development time boxes. So the first time box we see, the first time box, second time box, third time box, not necessarily fixed periods. The first time box could be 4 weeks, the second one 2 weeks, the third one 5 weeks. But whatever the team decide is necessary, in collaboration with the project level people, the team will say, what can we deliver in this time box? How long do we need? And we commit to that time. This is an excellent control mechanism. When you start using time boxes, it completely changes your way of thinking. It's a great way of working. And so that gives control to the project level, to the project manager, to the board. This gives control to the project, one of your dimensions you genuinely can commit to.
Let's make our second pulse for this session. So what methods do you and your team use today? Yeah, a few seconds. Yeah.
Right, so we see 59% people with traditional methods. That's what we're going to start to compare the Agile approach with. Some of you in a mix, a few of you are starting to use mostly Agile methods. So let's move on and we'll look at how Agile can add value and deliver, as we say in the title, real business benefits. Agile delivering a value stream. So first of all, let's go back to the traditional method, which is where many of you are. Now this is the most traditional. This is where I was in the 80s, before I started working on Timebox and Moscow. This was in the 80s the only method for business projects, and this was under pressure. Still used. It's not to be completely rejected. There are circumstances where this is the best method, because in some instances you want a big specification up front. This is a specification-driven approach. This is what's at the basis of waterfall. It's sometimes called big design up front, and in some activities, building a house, building an aeroplane, this is necessary. Big design up front is necessary, and there are a few IT projects where this may be necessary as well. IT, particularly in software development, found that this was causing problems, and people started looking towards iterative approaches, towards time boxes, towards alternatives of saying that we're going to discover what we do as we go along. One of those alternatives moved into Prince 2. Prince 2 essentially is one way of moving away from the waterfall, because Prince 2 is broken down into a series of stages. Rather than having a big design up front, a 200-page specification, which is what the V model asked you really to do, Prince 2 is breaking your work down into a series of stages. Prince 2 can support the waterfall, but generally there's stages. It's more incremental. And equally, rather than have a single specification for a single product, Prince 2 has product decomposition at its heart, and so decomposes the specification into product descriptions. So it's less monolithic and it's less upfront. So Prince 2 is a first step away. What we see moving forward is that Agile has moved away from this V model into a value stream. We're talking about a value stream. We're talking about delivering value throughout the project lifecycle. The V model doesn't deploy until near the end of the project. It's building, V model is building in a single build. Once you've got your analysis and design in place, then you build. What you see here for Agile is multiple builds. We've got, in this example, 3 time boxes in our first increment, and if you follow the logic through, we may have 2 in the second increment, 2 or 3 more in the third increment. So you're building, 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 and this is converging towards a working solution. Working solution means that you are showing your customer, your internal customer, external customer, your business people, you're showing them a partial solution that's slowly but surely getting better. They're beginning to see the value, they're beginning to see the solution, you're beginning to show them incrementally value converging towards a solution. So when we produced the research and development solution for Reckitt and Coleman, very early we showed them a very simple prototype that was beginning to work, they could enter a few documents into it. We could begin to see the different document types. We could begin to see how we would change documents, how we would share documents across countries. Very simple, but it was working. Timebox 2 added some more functionality. Timebox 3 added some more. Each of them was working. Each of them we could hand over. The business teams could play with them. They could touch them, feel them, say, I like this, I don't like that. This was a value stream. In some cases, your first time box has to be just a model. It could be a very rough prototype. It could be a non-functional prototype. What you're trying to do is slowly approximate your solution and converge towards something that is better and better. The V model, as we saw, is a single build, a single set of tests, a single delivery, and then a single deployment. This is a iterative approach. We're doing iterative development. And as we move to the next page, we're going to reinforce there's not just iterative development where you show people what you're building, but where possible you do incremental deployment. So this is saying that you are actually putting into use wherever possible, at the earliest possible moment, you're putting into day-to-day use your solutions. Because you've been building working solutions, then you have an opportunity to put something into use early. If you put something into use early, then you can start to get two positives coming through. You can be getting benefits coming through. Those early solutions mean that you're not waiting a year, 18 months, 2 years before you deliver. You may be putting the first solution into business use after 6 months. After 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, you're getting those first benefits because you're starting to get something in use. The other element on this page, if we click the button, Lenny, you'll find that you're also getting feedback. You're getting feedback because by using the system, by using the solution that you're putting into production, you're getting feedback. May not be the final, ultimate, fully polished solution, but you're getting feedback from the day-to-day use. If there are weaknesses, if there are process improvements required, if there are enhancements needed, then you're getting that feedback early, and you're planning to have multiple increments. On your next increment, you'll fix some of those. On your third increment, you'll fix more of them. This is not a one-shot solution. This is using incremental deployment. We can add value, we can fill in value gaps at each deployment. Frequent deployments are part of the Agile way of life. As frequent as possible. There's overheads with each deployment, but there are big benefits, big positives from each deployment, and we highlight 2 of them on this page. Just for the Prince2 users, anyone using Prince2 will recognize that this is something that Prince2 has also done. Prince2 is bridging between waterfall and Agile. It's a transitional method. Prince2 has its stages, and Prince2 is also talking about possible breakpoints where you can deploy. You can, it depends on your project with Prince2. Sometimes you deploy, sometimes you don't, but you're certainly looking for some sort of iteration. Agile is taking that transition to its conclusion. Agile methods like DSDM talk about frequent deployments, and this really is where we get the strong value stream. This is where we get those real benefits. Real benefits because they're proven, they are working solutions that have been seen by the user teams, and those are early benefits because they're coming through frequent incremental deployments. So that lets us situate AgilePM, DSDM, into the enterprise. Just to confirm those 2 different terms, the background method, the overall method is called DSDM. AgilePM is a subset. It's also the certification which we focus on in the training room. This then takes us to AgilePM as an enterprise tool. So as an enterprise tool, you have very different facets. We're going to view those facets in the next few slides. One of them is that you need well-defined roles and responsibilities. Particularly, you need to get the project level worked out. The decision making we see on this page, the project level at the top of the page. We're talking here about a business sponsor, typically a high-level manager for the NIC, for the Beckett and Coleman worldwide R&D project where we use Agile and Moscow. This was the sales director. We had a sponsor. Other roles, a project manager, a business visionary. This is a project level team, and we see the 3 colors coming through. You see on the left we have business roles in orange, project management roles in blue, solution roles in green. Even at the project level, you have a solution role, you have a technical coordinator. This could be your project board. This is more of an enterprise solution than Scrum. This really says that you situate your project in the enterprise context. To get projects, big enterprise projects done, or small enterprise projects, you need governance. You need something formal for enterprise change. This is the top level of the structure. You have a board. You have a project level, which could become your board. The board could possibly sit on top of the whole structure and be even higher. And then you have the team at the bottom with a team leader, with an orange role, a business ambassador, a green role, a solution developer, solution tester. And if necessary, if you have a huge Agile project, maybe with 30 people, you have multiple teams. So you'd have, if you had 30 people, you would probably have one project level and 3 solution development teams, or 4 solution development teams. This is a structure which is able to meet the challenges of large-scale enterprise developments. If we move on to the next slide, we now see we also have a life cycle. This is the summary of the life cycle. Again, we have the 3 colors: the orange for the business products, the blue for the project management products, and the green for the solution development products. And one of the key elements, one of the key principles of Atern is to build on solid foundations. We want to build iteratively, we want to deliver incrementally, but we've got to have some foundations. Agile is a lot about discovery. We discover our needs, we have flexibility as we move forward, we have collaboration, so we discover what the business really wants. But we're not building on sand, we're not building without foundations. And we see on this page the column, the 3rd column along is called foundations. And so here we see something really important. We have business foundations, management foundations, and solution foundations. Before we start our time boxes, we're starting to put in the sort of foundations that the enterprise wants. Those time boxes will give us a lot of the agility, but we're not just using agility with no structure. In a company, in an enterprise, you need some structure. And those business foundations say, what sort of business processes? What's the business case? The management foundations say, do we have a plan? How are we going to manage this? How are we going to check quality? Those things that the project manager needs to worry about. And the green, the solution foundations say, how does this fit into our company? What's the new technical architecture? How are the processes going to work? We got databases that we have to change? All of the techie things that are complementary. And by allowing the 3 elements to come together, we have a life cycle that has small but solid foundations, not too bureaucratic, just enough design up front. That means that in exploration and engineering, we can start to run our time boxes, and we can start to use Moscow. We put the business Moscow into the foundations, and we put a Moscow, let's say on that page, Lenny, and we put a Moscow into each time box, so that each time box can be run in an agile fashion as well. Just before we leave that page, the last thing to say on there is that you also see plans. You see an outline plan, you see a delivery plan, you see a deployment plan. You still need project management. A lot of Scrum, unfortunately, is not good Scrum. A lot of Scrum that you see out there is agility without planning. That's unfortunate. Scrum can be an excellent method for a small team, but too many Scrum initiatives fall away and end up with very reactive work where they really are working without a plan. They don't have the foundations and they don't know quite where they're going. DSDM Atern adds that element of planning. Before you start your time boxes, you have a delivery plan. How am I going to organize my time boxes? When you're into your time boxes, you start thinking, how am I going to deploy? How am I going to put this into production? Where do my time boxes leading me? So that you do have a small amount of planning. The blue, the project management, is reasonably well organized. There's just enough planning. This is an enterprise agile solution where enterprises, companies need to know where they're going. You need a plan. So let's move on to the next page. Next thing that companies need is the business case. The business case, whether we like it or not, our companies, public bodies need to know things like how much is it going to cost and what benefits am I going to get from this project. This is the business case, this is the return on investment, this is the value for money, this is a cost-benefit analysis, and what we see on this slide is that we're not just dealing with the old business case from Waterfall or from Prince 2, we're beginning to link this into agility. We're beginning to say we can layer our Moscow approach, our Moscow for the project can be used in order to say that in fact we have multiple visions of our business case, and if we're running short of time, if we hit technical difficulties, we will deliver the must-haves. We're hoping to deliver should-haves. If things go well, we'll deliver the could-haves, and we can integrate our business case into the world of Agile. But this is what the company wants. The company is wanting a well-structured business case. We move on to one other quite interesting page which we'll really use to finalize our overview of Agile. This is actually saying that your Agile will change your mindset. We're moving away from big design up front. That's the waterfall approach where you have that 100-page specification. We're moving into a slightly different approach. At the beginning of the Agile world, we're starting with few requirements and low detail. We've got a broad idea of where we're going. Discovery and change are inevitable. We'll discover new requirements, we'll change our mind as we go along. This is normal. Our initial estimates are therefore approximate. As the project advances, they'll get better. A lot of waterfall projects believe they have tight estimates, but in fact they're also approximate. So this little diagram here with the green and the red is actually quite an interesting diagram. It summarizes how we have this different flavor, this different mindset in Agile, in DSDM. In red we have our estimations, in green we have our requirements. So at the beginning of the project we have maybe 10, perhaps 20 requirements in an outline plan, and we have fairly low-level estimations. And then as we move into delivery, we're finding new requirements. We're drilling down on those requirements to maybe get 50, 80 requirements. 50 is typical. And we're getting better estimates. And then as we move into the time boxes, time box by time box, we're getting quite detailed requirements for that time box. And we should be able to estimate in quite good precision how that time box will go in terms of both time and budget. So I give you that last page because that gives you an extra flavor. What we've seen in these slides, the last 4 or 5 slides, is how Agile becomes an enterprise tool. So AgilePM, DSDM, Atern becomes an enterprise tool, something that you can take into your businesses to run significant, serious business projects, not just IT, but across the business. I'm going to hand over to Lenny now. Lenny will tell you a little bit about the options for training and certification. And I'll come back to you at the end if you have any questions.
Yeah. Louise will speak about training and certification, I guess, from QAP.
Yes, I will. Okay, thank you very much, Jeff, for your presentation. And let's just cover how you can get trained and certified within the Agile method. This is just a picture of the portfolio of QRP. As you can see, we have many different methods available, not just Agile Project Management. But if you're interested in these, please feel free to contact me. So moving on, to become Agile practitioner, you need to first follow the Agile Foundation course and pass the foundation exam. And when you have done that, you're eligible to follow the Agile practitioner training and to sit the practitioner exam. And once the complete training is finished, you can ask our certified Agile consultants for help and advice when to implement the Agile method in your organization. The Agile Foundation course is a 3-day classroom-based event, and it's designed for people who require a general level of Agile understanding. This level aims to measure whether a candidate could act as an informed member of an Agile environment. And to this end, they do need to show that they understand the principle and terminology of the Agile practice. The Agile Practitioner course instead, if we're moving on, is a 1-day classroom-based course mainly aimed at support office managers and directors. The course is very detailed with focus on scenarios, and exercises will be based on case studies with a similar format to the one used by APMG in their practitioner exam. So this case study will be used to test the thorough understanding of and the application of Agile. The practitioner level aims to measure whether a candidate should manage or work in a company of an Agile team. And to this end, they need to exhibit the knowledge required for the foundation qualification and show that they have a full understanding of how to justify, build, and manage an Agile environment. If we're moving on, I will just show you the public schedule that we have for Agile in the spring. If you're interested in taking both the foundation and practitioner certification in Agile, you can take the advantage with QRP to sign up for the combi formula, which gives you a 15% discount. And as you can see here, the coming days for our Open Agile combi courses are presented on this slide. Of course, we have more days as well, so you're welcome to visit our local websites and also our international websites for additional information about our courses. Yes, Lenny, do you want to take over to see if we have any questions and answers?
Yeah, for questions and answers. So you have we have several questions today. The first one is what does 60% of total effort mean? What is the effort?
Right. This is coming from the page about delivering the business case, and effort is to do with man days of work. The cost may obviously include other investments, other elements that have been bought, like we buy a server or you spend on software or on training, but effort is particularly based on the man days of work. So this is a major factor and a major variable which we can control in our projects by controlling the time boxes, which control the duration of the work. Then there's also a secondary leverage on controlling the effort. That's the number of days expressed in man days worked by the team, by the development team.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. A question about AgilePM. Is it suitable for just IT projects, or is it relevant to all types of projects?
It's relevant to a good subset of projects. The question you really have to answer is are we forced for good reasons into using a strong specification up front? Good reasons being, for example, you're building a house, your architect has got the ability and the habit and probably the necessity to supply a big specification right at the front of the project. Sometimes you are forced into a specification because your company only knows that way of working. So the bid and tender process is often forcing you into either, if you're on the customer side, asking for a big specification, if you're on the supplier side, submitting a big specification. It may not be appropriate, but the contract forces you that way, and today your company's not going to change. There are ways of running Agile bid and tender, but many companies don't know those. We'll talk about those in the training room. So if for whatever reasons you are in a big specification scenario, then you probably should not be looking at Agile. If you want to move away from that, then you can move towards Agile. Some companies move towards Prince 2 because they are wanting to take the first steps. They're starting to break down the life cycle into pieces. For some projects where there's a strong understanding that needs will evolve as you go through the project, that you will be in the discovery mode, then you should definitely have a strong look at Agile. Reckitt and Coleman, when they built that research and development solution, they were in discovery mode. They were discovering about new tools, which we hadn't used before in the company. We were discovering about how to globalize the R&D world. We were discovering how to run documents across multiple sites. All sorts of discovery. So an Agile approach was perfect for us. And this goes way beyond IT. This can be applied to many process reorganizations, business change projects where you do not know the answer, and it's inappropriate, it's wrong to try to have a strong, large specification signed off up front.
Okay. Another questions. Yeah, let's take this one. Why would you say is the most significant benefits of Agile PM over traditional method, such as Sprint or PMBOK?
Well, the most partly it comes from the title of today's webinar, which is early delivery of real benefits. You're delivering value throughout the process. There is a first value coming through that you're showing your internal customer or external customer. You're showing them partial solutions, and you're converging version by version, time box by time box towards a better solution. That's adding value. People understand what they want when they see what they can have. People are finding higher value final deliverables because they have been seeing version 1, version 2, version 3. The customer has been working with the supplier week in, week out, month in, month out during the whole of the project life cycle. And then you've also been, if possible, maximizing the number of deliveries, of putting that into production. That adds early value, and that adds more value because you're getting feedback from real-life use. Those are big differences compared to waterfall, and some of those, even Prince 2, is going to struggle to be as good as. That is value added for AgilePM for DSDM.
Okay. Maybe last questions. It's about PMO. What will be the role of a PMO in an Agile project management structure?
Well, the PMO can be helping in a number of ways. The PMO can be providing services to the Agile project. Facilitation services, getting people working in different ways, getting people working to a new mindset. The role of DSDM coach, that role could come out of the PMO. The workshop facilitator, that could come out of the PMO. The guidance with breaking of building your must-go lists, that guidance, that support could come out of your PMO. If you're based with multiple, if the PMO is trying to manage multiple Agile projects in a portfolio, then this is traditional monitoring of checking whether the projects are advancing, helping to balance resource needs across the portfolio. In the solution development team, it's quite important to have stability of resourcing. So the PMO can try to maximize the resource stability for a given project so that when a time box is being run, you have the resources that you expected, because you can't expect to deliver a time box if your resources suddenly disappear, if you have resource suddenly not available. So guaranteeing the availability of promised resources would be a major contribution from a PMO in an Agile PM environment.
Okay, many thanks for all your answers, Jeff. So thank you for your participations. Louise will say the final word.
Yes, thank you very much. And as Lenny suggested before, there will be a video of this webinar which you can download if you want to follow this webinar once again. And for any questions you might have about training and certification, you're more than welcome to contact us at QRP. Here you can see all the different country managers, but also please sign on to our website, QRPinternational.com is the international one, where you can also find all the local websites. So once again, thank you for your participation, and we're looking forward to hearing from you again.
Yeah, many thanks.
Right, goodbye to everybody.